My name is Taylor. This is Hack & Company at Remax River City. You are watching Selling Real Estate in 2021 because everything's changed. You know, there's so much that has changed that we want to make sure that you're getting the most recent information. And we're going to have John Gotell come in and talk to us a little bit about decoding home inspections, because a lot of us only think about home inspections when we're thinking about, we're only thinking about home inspections at the time that we're buying. We're like, my home inspection. But on the other side, what about the seller's home inspection? That's a major thing as well. So let's pop John in here. John, how are you? I'm just connecting to the audio.
Good.
And there should be a button in your bottom left, maybe, to start your video.
Do I hit record or?
No, I got the recording handled, but there should just be a start video button.
Got it.
Sometimes this stuff is tricky. There
Absolutely.
he is. You did it. You did it. Good to see you, man. You are one of the most home inspectors that we see regularly. We always appreciate you helping us deliver those 5-star experiences. And what we want to do right now is to decode that a little bit for sellers that are nervous. You make sellers nervous, eh? You're gonna show up into their storage room. What's that about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a sensitive thing for sure. I think that we can all appreciate that.
Well, it's actually an interesting experience walking through as many houses as we do. And
Yes.
I find that we see different things from different aspects. So you walking through a 20-year-old house, the thing that I like is by the time you're done, you're going to give the buyer like a manual to a used house. This is like the state of affairs here, right?
Yeah, I like to have it all encompassing for sure.
And so when sellers are looking to get ready, the first thing I'm going to ask on your behalf is give this man some room, like around the furnace, around the hot water tank. That might be where you've kept the luggage up until now. But if you're coming by, you're going to need access to that. What else do you need access to?
I need access to all rooms. Like I've gone into places where people put their storage in they're stacked bottom to top, and there's really no access to get in the room. Then I missed out on the condition of the walls. If it's a basement, I can't check out the exterior walls very well. Check if there's been any past moisture. Look if the plugs are wired correctly. Check if there's egress out the window. Things like that are really important. You need to get in these areas, right?
Yeah, and those are super important to buyers. They're making decisions on that. They're going to part with thousands of dollars. And a lot of times after the down payment and all the dust settles, they don't have a budget for these big items. So in that case, we might get a request to maybe have somebody come back, take up more time. Those sellers are going to have to get that stuff out of that room for us to have a look, because sometimes that's also the room that's got the sump pump in it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And at some point, we got to wonder, is there a reason that you're putting all this storage in this room that is so important to us if it has these mechanical
Yes, I have past stories about that. So it is something that happens.
Yeah, and I imagine that you've kind of seen it all. So there's something that I think that sellers don't realize because they haven't had a home inspection during the time that they've owned the house. What are the things that are normally a surprise when you're going through? Because you check everything. You're going to check how the windows work, how all the doors work. But where are you seeing things that maybe a seller could pay more attention to before the home inspector arrives?
So as a seller, you really want, for one thing, I would say it needs to be clean, because obviously clean makes it easy to move around, easy to look behind things and stuff. And when you look behind stuff and you see dirt, it kind of gives you not a great impression right off the start. So you always want to give the best impression. But yeah, to have plugs tightened, to make sure your doors aren't wiggling, like simple things that a seller can do that you don't need a lot of experience for. You don't need to bring someone in, or if you do, a typical handyman that's a little bit less expensive could come in and handle these small things, right? Yeah, just making sure stuff is clean. I think that's a big thing for a seller. Something simple, but makes a huge difference.
I totally agree with that. So giving you a little bit of space to move, but there's also some things that might be indicators that are going to come on your list anyway. Like I know a lot of
Mhm.
realtors will comment when they get out of the car and they start to see the shingles curl and things like
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
When you're walking up
Yeah.
to a house and you see those visual cues, what are you thinking when you see some shingles curling on as you're approaching?
Well, I'm thinking I need to get into the attic for one thing and just make sure that the condition on the inside of the attic is okay. Because a lot of times shingles curling just means end of life cycle, right? And it's an indicator that we need to go and do that change. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's a leak in the roof, right? It just means that we need to take extra care and check out all those, around flashing areas for sure on an older roof, places where the deterioration could cause leaking. So,
So when you see these
but
indicators, the first thing that your mind goes to is this a bigger problem than I can see?
of course, absolutely. Yeah, and it's the same with like if a seller covers something with a picture or something, right? Those are indicators that really set my radar off. And then, the old detective hat gets on and we start really rolling up our sleeves. We do anyway, but our senses just become a little bit more heightened at that point, right?
Yeah. So when you're going through a home inspection and something doesn't look right, you're going to approach it a little bit more. But then when it doesn't look right and you've seen like methods used to like conceal it, I definitely think
Hmm.
that I'd be setting my spidey senses off as well. And that's why we
Yeah.
trust you with so many clients. We want to make sure that they have somebody who's going to be looking at things really from the focus from their focus. And that's why I think sellers get a little bit nervous of the home inspector because you guys are never on their
Hmm.
side.
No, no, well, they're not paying us.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, a
We
lot
do
of
do
times,
pre-sale inspections. So if they want to pay us to pre-sell their inspection, we'll tell them everything that an inspector is going to find.
now this is something that I wanted to talk to you about. Now, I want to give
Yeah.
one last announcement before we move forward here. This is your last chance to enter the contest. So we had 7 contests that we launched. You had sponsored one of them, John. We appreciate that. And
My pleasure.
right now, somebody can enter into the discussion on the live event. They can go down through the contests. They can put a comment there or enter the contest. And we're giving away some sweet prizes. Somebody earlier won a Bose SoundLink. So
Ooh, cool.
some good stuff going around here. So if you haven't entered
Yeah.
yet, please do so. And now turning the conversation to this crazy sellers market that we're getting into, we are not
Yeah.
far away from sellers ordering home inspections. Like if you want
Yeah.
top dollar and you want to remove all of the
Mhm.
obstacles to somebody coming in with an unconditional offer, could you not offer a home inspection?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It's the equivalent inspection. It's just for the seller, just and it shows honesty upfront and purpose to sell, right? Like they're interested in selling, they're motivated to sell, and they want to make it go as smooth as possible. Therefore, doing that, right? And that doesn't take away the buyer's ability to have their own inspection. It could, because we should all be under the same certification or under a certification with a scope of work. And then that being said, scope of works are always a minimum. I just want to highlight that, just since I brought up scope of work. It's like any area, you have a baseline, and that's where a minimum everybody has to look at. So example, representative sample of windows and plugs, I check all of them, every single one that I can get to without moving their personal things. I will check stuff
Yeah,
like
we
that.
appreciate that level of being thorough. It's
Mhm.
something that means a lot. Like you have a background that kind of lends to that because not only are you a home inspector, but my understanding is you have a background in as an electrician.
Yes, yeah. I had 20 years as an electrician and 10 years as an instrumentation engineer. It just, that education and that being in the field is, you can't replace it. It's so valuable.
Well, especially since both of those elements kind of lead to you being detailed and understanding how to measure and manage
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
And those are really
Yes.
valuable assets in home inspection. So we appreciate that. But one of the things that we always notice how good you are explaining things to clients. Um, that's something that can really be the biggest separator when it comes to home inspectors, because home inspectors that know more leave less to uncertainty. They give
Yeah.
more explanations. They go deeper. And that's something that we appreciate. When we talk a little bit about home inspections or from the seller side, what are the things that you would also say are going to come up for sure? So if you have like these kind of 3 things going on in your property, they're going to come up on a home inspection for sure. You don't need to leave it to your memory.
Caulking all the time, caulking everywhere, exterior, interior, around bathrooms, thresholds, under sinks. People think because you have a sunken sink, you don't need caulking there. Well, you definitely do, right? Caulking is a huge one. Things that come up quick are like doors not latching, stuff like that. Stuff that it doesn't need to affect your sale, right? With a little bit of detail on the seller's part. Hinges on your cabinets, rollers, or your cabinets rolling out nice. All those things, like if people come in and everything's free moving, doors open and close freely, it gives you a more relaxed feeling of the place, its functionality.
Yeah, and the thing is those little things can add up and work in different ways than you expect. So it could be that you've run into a really sensitive buyer, somebody who is not handy at all. Then everything is an obstacle to them. They're like, how do we make these cabinets move better? And like a lot of people are like, you just lubricate them, it's okay. But for some people, they're going to be like, you know what, I think I'm going to have to go find another house, because it's not like this one's the only one. They probably saw 6 or 8 of them.
Absolutely.
And I always think that one thing can kind of demonstrate all things. Like if you're walking into a place and you know that all the cabinets are kind of moving funny, maybe there's one of those like pot drawers that's kind of like leaning to the left, and you end up seeing a few things that that kind of don't add up. That's again a spidey sense thing, right?
Absolutely, for sure. It just shows that there wasn't
when you get to the furnace.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you expect to find lack of maintenance, right? You expect to find a dirty filter. You expect to, when I see stuff like that, now I'm pulling open every heat register and looking how much dirt's in there. Things like that. Is your garage door closing behind you without assistance, or even though you have a self closer, you just haven't done the maintenance for so long. Maintenance is huge on the place. It shows pride and ownership, and it just makes people feel comfortable with the stuff they don't understand about your place. Right? When the stuff that they do understand about your place is aligned.
Absolutely. And when you take a look at people that are parting with money, like some people that were pre-approved for 450 aren't able to buy at 450 in some neighborhoods now, because even a property priced at 450 is going to sell at 465. So they're already moving down and feel like they're parting with top dollar. And all of a sudden the home inspector goes through and they're like, yeah, I've got a list. There's just 45 things here that you're going to want to pay attention to.
Yeah.
It really makes you think twice, right? And if you say, like, let's say that buyer decides to go somewhere else, the next buyer, the first question out of that agent's mouth is, I see that you guys were pending. Was there a home inspection? They don't ask what happened at the home inspection, because they know we're going to shine it up, right? Oh yeah, it was fine. The home inspector only had one eye. I think he was missing a shoe. Said everything was crooked. Like like those types of things are how realtors kind of talk to each other sometimes. But
even
when you've had a home inspection, that's already a step too far.
Yeah, even as a home inspector, if I find out it was pending and then it didn't go through, and I will be like, okay, so I have to find. I'm digging until I find what the other inspector found here. Right? We're going to be here 4 hours. Everybody get comfy.
I like that you condition people that way. You're like, hey, listen, I know what I'm walking into. I have great conversations with our team here. We're ready to make sure that there's nothing missed. And we have reason to believe that there's something to look for.
Absolutely, for sure.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for helping us deliver so many 5-star experiences. And thank you for helping us talk about something that doesn't get spoken about enough.
My pleasure.
Inspections from the seller side, and we feel as though you're one of the best in talking about these things. So this is John. Am I saying it right? Is it Gotell?
Just Gotell.
Gotell. And I like how it's just as you say it. Like, imagine John Gotell, and because we like
straight to the point.
Yeah, we like that you get straight to the point. And
I
he's
appreciate
arrived
that.
home inspection. You can see him on our trusted expert list. You're going to see him out with us. If you see a Hack and Company teammate parked in front of a house for a couple hours, it's very likely that he's going to be there as well. So thank you so much for helping us out tonight. And I hope that you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you so much for having me.